Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Media.
Good afternoon.
My first question would be, a lot of engineering and management seats in Maharashtra-based colleges are going vacant, whereas a lot of new colleges are also coming up on the same hand. What is the solution for this?
So first of all, we have to understand that vacancies is a phenomenon which will remain whatever you do to a system which is in the mode of expansion. And there are several reasons for this to happen, and I don't think that this is a very alarming situation in that context. First of the reasons is the perception of the students, who would always look at education as a means to employment, and good employment they perceive as belonging to certain specializations, certain courses in engineering and management and so on. For example, 4 or 5 years back, people had this perception that IT, computer science and electronics specializations would get them very good employment, and that happened for a while. Over a period of time, there was a kind of recession in the US and in the Western markets and European markets and so on, and that started to be felt here, and therefore the perception today is that IT, computer science may not get them the kind of salaries they were expecting probably 4 or 5 years back. And today the concept is back to the core engineering programs like civil, electrical, mechanical. If you look at the vacancies and the profiling of the vacancies that you have, you will find that most of the vacancies are in those branches which students generally do not associate with the possibility of good employment. Like for example, maybe production engineering, where the manufacturing industry itself has undergone several changes in the last decade or two. If you look at instrumentation, or if you look at branches like the chemical processing industry, water resources and so on, those kind of branches people perceive as, for example, mining. Though there are huge opportunities in mining, people do not go for those courses because they don't see them as white-collared or blue-collar jobs. So therefore, there are a lot of several reasons for something to remain vacant. Having said that, the world over, you will find that there are vacancies. In fact, in the management schools this year, except for the 7-8 top institutions, the rest of the institutions have vacancies. So it's a phenomena which will probably keep happening all over the world, and more so in this country, which is on a expansion spree. In a really expanding mode, what also happens is new institutions will come up, and especially in the engineering and management sector, the USP of the institution is also that how well they are connected with the industry, the collaborations that they have with industry, the collaborations, the effort that they make in order to provide the employment opportunities in those sectors. So therefore, many of the institutions in the garb of providing education have also been set up in the remote places, in the rural places, where they are not very well connected with the industry and so on. So initially when they set up, they thought that probably the numbers would come and so on, without really worrying about the quality of the institutions. Now today what we find is these kind of institutions, where they do not have enough of industrial collaborations, have suddenly found that there are no takers, because eventually they don't give opportunities for employment and so on. So that's another reason. The rural colleges, I mean, every child would want that they get a good employment opportunity, and today we know that the employment opportunities are in the better managed cities and the second tier cities that we have and so on. So therefore the institutions which are there in the rural places or in the not very well connected with the industry, those kind of institutions will close down eventually. The vacancies would spread there. So there is a demographic shift from rural to cities and so on. The third major reason is we have a general downturn. If you look at the rate of growth for GDP is today at about 5%, and the rate of population growth is about 1.5%. So which means that the per capita income today is just about growing at 3.5%, and you have an inflation rate of about 8%, which means the money in circulation is going lesser by the day, which means that and add to this, you also have the dollar value coming down because the economy has started looking up in the Western world. In US, the economy is picking up. It's probably coming out of the recessive mode. But we find that our manufacturing industry is not doing well. Add to that, the dollar value is appreciating in terms of the rupee. The rupee is depreciating, and therefore the fiscal deficits would go very, very high, which means that the general availability of employment and opportunities for employability, these have gone down in the last 4-5 years time. So therefore, what ideally should happen is your job employability potential should also grow at the rate at which your education is moving, the number of institutions coming up, the ability to expand, provide access, which is so important in this country, and so on. So therefore, there are a host of reasons as to why there are vacancies, why institutions close down, and things like that. Today, saying that the expansion should not happen will deny a large section of society with no access to quality or good education. So we believe that the expansion should happen. If you look at the GER, it's just about 19 today, and the technical education contributes to about 5 points in 19 to that GER that I'm talking about. So which means in the operative age of 18 to 23, out of every 100 students, 19 or 20 go for higher education, and out of that about 5 go to technical education. And even if you consider that 20 million actually go to higher education, you also realize that the equal number do not even go to college. So on one side we are saying that there are vacancies, on the other side we are saying that the GER is very low, and there are so many 20 million every year dropping out from colleges, or not able to go to college, and so on. So somewhere you need to provide the means for the students to get into colleges, do their education, expand your employment opportunities. Then your GDP will again rise, your country will start doing well, the economy will start doing well, and so on. So therefore education has a very close relationship to the employment opportunities that we should be really providing. On one side, there are several reports that say that your graduates are 20% employable, things like that. My simple question to this is, if I have 1 million students from the engineering sector and about 3.5 lakh or 0.35 million students in the management sector passing every year. Now if I say that 25% are employable, then probably 7.5 million engineering students and almost 3 lakh management students do not find jobs. It's not true in this country. I mean, over a 4-year, 5-year period, you should have actually had 35 lakh students in engineering without jobs and about 10 lakh students in management without jobs. That doesn't happen. What must be happening is all these students are employed in a year's time, but probably they are underemployed, which is of an equal concern, which means that our employability potential also should increase. Our primary sector, which provides about 10% jobs, the manufacturing or the secondary sector, which provides about 25% jobs, 35% jobs, and the tertiary sector or the service sector, which provides about 60-65% jobs. All these sectors need to increase and grow at a phenomenal rate to absorb all these students. And then once that starts happening, you will actually find that there are no vacancies. And you will also find that you need to open many more colleges, many more universities, and so on. Now this is one side of the story. This is one side of the story. You look at the legal part of the problem as to why our regulator allows new institutions to come up. Now there are a set of guidelines, a set of rules, a set of regulations which are in place for an applicant to set up an institution. Now what do we, at the minimum we require a certain amount of land to be in the name of the society. The money to set up that institution should be available, and the sustainability should be approved, and he should be following the rules and regulations of the regulator. Now 93% of the education, higher technical education, is in the private sector today. Now, which means that the private sector has played a very big role in this expansion activity. Now having said that, if there is a private player who says, this is my land which I am forming a society and getting this land in the name of the society or the trust, and the money that I am investing is my money, and he is willing to follow all the rules of the regulator, then under which clause, and your constitution provides him, 19G, provides him the opportunity to practice his profession, whatever that be. And if he says that I am going to set up an institution and be developing and contributing to education, there is nothing that can stop him from doing it. So therefore there is a legal aspect as well, because of which if there are institutions being set up within the ambit of the legal provisions, then you will need to do that. What can be done is the state governments can create perspective plans from their universities with the help of their universities, and with the perspective plan, probably a national or a state level, a national level perspective plan can be created, and these plans can be notified upfront, and then you will realize that a much more realistic model can be created. So that's what, until such time in this country we need to provide access, we need to provide, in fact we should provide financial models for more students to come in, and many students drop out because they do not have the financial means to continue studies. Therefore you will find vacancies and so on. It doesn't mean that there are no students. There are students, but they don't have the financial means. So if you provide something like a financial corporation which provides soft loans and things like that, then most of these vacancies would go.